This story takes us back 20,000 years ago, to a time when humans lived in small tribes. It shows ancient European tribes who lived together and hunted in groups. The leader of one such tribe was a man named Ergon. A few months before winter, they went out for hunting to gather food for the cold season. They spotted a massive herd of buffaloes. Crawling closer, the hunters waited for Ergon's signal. When he raised his hand, everyone attacked at once. The buffaloes, frightened, began to run in the opposite direction, and many fell into a deep ravine. But one wild buffalo survived and charged toward Ergon's son, Noyan, who was on his first hunt and didn't know how to react. Ergon shouted for him to move, but Noyan froze in fear. The wild buffalo lifted him with its horns and ran toward the cliff. Ergon threw his spear to save his son, hitting the buffalo, but even after being wounded, it didn't release Noyan. The beast tossed Noyan off the cliff, and the story jumps back to 1 week earlier. A week before, the tribe was preparing for the great hunt, shaping sharp weapons from stones. This was not just preparation, it was a test. Only those who made the sharpest weapons could join the hunt. Noyan passed the test. That night, Noyan's mother told Ergon not to take their son along, he was still a child. But Ergon said winter was coming, and if they didn't hunt, they would starve. "He must prove he's my son," he said. The next morning, the hunters set out, while Noyan's mother worried at home. On their journey, they met another tribe also hunting for winter food. After a long and dangerous trek, they reached a stone monument built by their ancestors, a memorial for those who had died on past hunts. Later, they found a wild boar. Ergon told Noyan to kill it, but the boy hesitated. Ergon took the knife and killed it himself. Angry, he scolded Noyan, saying, "Only the strong survive. That's the law of the wild." That night, while eating, they heard strange sounds. A lion attacked and carried off one of the boys. The next morning, they built a small grave for him and continued on their way. Days passed without finding prey. That night, they stayed in a cave. Ergon drew star-shaped tattoos on Noyan's hand and said, "These stars will guide you home if you ever get lost." The next day, they followed buffalo tracks and finally found the herd, leading to the moment when Noyan was thrown off the cliff. Back to the present, Noyan, hanging onto a rock, called for help. Ergon rushed to save him, but the rock broke, and Noyan fell down the cliff, hitting rocks before landing in a narrow ledge. Ergon tried to go after him, but his men stopped him, saying there was no way down. Believing his son was dead, Ergon reluctantly led his people home after building a small memorial for Noyan. Later, a vulture landed on Noyan's body to eat him, but he suddenly opened his eyes and pushed it away. Realizing everyone had left, he tried climbing up, but couldn't. Rain began to fall, filling the ravine with water. When it became deep enough, Noyan jumped in to survive and was knocked unconscious. He woke up the next day, his leg broken. He made a split from sticks and climbed back up to where his tribe had left his memorial. Realizing they thought he was dead, he cried. Suddenly, he heard strange noises. A pack of wolves was nearby. Noyan climbed a tree, but one wolf bit his leg. He stabbed it with a knife, injuring it. The pack stayed all night below, but left in the morning, except the wounded wolf. Noyan made a spear, ready to kill the wolf, but stopped out of pity. He tied its mouth shut and carried it to the cave where he once stayed with his tribe. The next morning, he went out to find herbs for both of their wounds. When he returned, the wolf had freed itself. At first, he was scared, but he gently offered it water. The wolf drank and began to trust him. Noyan treated its wounds with herbs and shared insects and food. Gradually, they formed a bond. That night, he caught a rabbit and shared it with the wolf. Over the next few days, they recovered together. Noyan named the wolf Alpha. Before leaving, he told Alpha to go back to its pack, but Alpha followed him. Noyan tried to drive it away, but Alpha refused. When Alpha failed to catch prey, Noyan shared his food. That was the first time Alpha ate from his hand. Their friendship had truly begun. They hunted and traveled together, even bathing in a river where Alpha caught a fish. Later, Alpha met its pack again, and Nguyen told it to stay with them. But the next day, he saw Alpha being rejected by the other wolves. When he ran toward it, the ice beneath him cracked, and he fell into a frozen lake. Alpha rushed to help, breaking the ice with its paws. Nguyen managed to cut through the ice with his knife and escaped. He started a fire to survive the cold. The next morning, they continued their journey. On the way, they found the frozen man, already dead. Nguyen took his bow and arrows and moved on. Soon, hyenas chased them, forcing them to hide in a cave, which turned out to be home to a black panther. The panther attacked, but Alpha leapt to protect Nguyen. During the fight, Nguyen shot the panther with an arrow, saving Alpha's life, though Alpha was badly injured. Nguyen treated Alpha's wounds and promised never to leave it. After many days, they finally reached the ancient stone monument. Nguyen realized his home was near. But Alpha collapsed from weakness. Nguyen lifted it in his arms and kept walking through the blizzard until he saw his tribe in the distance. His father recognized someone approaching. It was his son. Nguyen reached the camp and collapsed. His parents rushed to him, crying with joy. Nguyen whispered, "Save Alpha," before fainting. When he awoke, Alpha was lying beside him, and had given birth to pups. Nguyen was shocked to learn Alpha was a female wolf who had been pregnant throughout the journey. Weeks later, the pups had grown. It was the beginning of a new era, the first friendship between humans and wolves. After surviving incredible hardships, Nguyen had finally returned home, and Alpha and her children were now part of his family. The end.